Welcome to Biz Wire. I'm Joseph Nordstrom in Beijing. On Biz Wire, we've gone through the changes China is trying to make with its economy by reducing the dependence on fixed asset investment and exports and promoting more spending from a population that for many reasons tends to save more than it consumes. China's working age population is shrinking, and rising wages in lower skilled, labor-intensive production are making some industries uncompetitive. As part of its response, China's economic reforms involve a great deal of investment in an area that at first might not seem obviously linked together. Former chief economist and senior vice president of the World Bank, Justin Yifu Lin, says that China must transfer its labor-intensive industries to other countries to ensure its own continued economic development. In a China Daily article, Lin says he believes Africa is one of the best choices for this transfer. Lin says that while disparities still remain among China's eastern, central, and western regions, moving operations within the country has become limited because cheaper labor from the west has moved to the east and the salary gaps among regions are being bridged. So, Lin says for labor-intensive industries, moving overseas is a must. Lin says there's historical precedent for this. Japan transferred its labor-intensive textile industry to the four so-called Asian tigers of Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, and South Korea in the 1960s, and they in turn moved their manufacturing bases to the Chinese mainland starting in the 1980s. For such a large country, China has performed something of an economic miracle. With an annual 9.8% official annual growth rate for the past 33 years, China has reduced extreme poverty on a scale never seen before. Lin says average incomes in China are now much higher than those in Africa, which has the chance to do what China has been doing since the late 1970s. For China to maintain its momentum of development, Lin believes industries need to be updated and structurally reformed, especially labor-intensive manufacturing, the very basis of China's initial success and the other Asian tigers. Lin says with a wonkish flair that Chinese industry must be updated at both ends of the value chain's smiling curve. He says China must climb the value chain and do more with research and development and technology-intensive manufacturing. This is where Africa then steps into the picture. Lin says countries in Africa are an ideal place to take over where China is leaving off, because China's neighbors in Southeast Asia have somewhat limited populations that cannot satisfy the needs of what would be a massive transfer. Another advantage for China is Africa's growing population of about 1 billion as a potential market for Chinese brands wherever they're made. Lin makes a strong case for the oft-used phrase of win-win cooperation. He says China and Africa are now deeply interdependent on each other, so a better Africa makes for a better China. The state-run China Daily also quotes the chief marketing officer of the China-Africa Development Fund, Teng Liliang, who says many industrial sectors in China suffer from excess capacity, all of which are desperately needed by Africa. Teng says if Chinese producers moved to Africa, they would be closer to markets and raw materials, which would greatly reduce production and transportation costs, as well as increase sales. Teng says it's a strategic opportunity for a transforming China and that industrialization is needed to lay the foundation of any future economic boom in Africa. You're watching Biz Wire on the Blue Ocean Network. All of our stories can be seen on our website, BONTV/biz-wire. In just a second, we'll continue with more insight into the big picture of China's economy.